folks, Jonathan here. Got a little project here. I wasn't going to film it, but decided I would anyway. This is not going to be too bad. What happened here? This trailer is big in surface area for the amount of weight it's made to haul. It's about 14 foot long on the deck, but it's got a little single axle under it. This thing is made to haul ATVs, four-wheelers. It's got these side ramps that come off where you can load a four-wheeler crossways. And it's a pretty wide trailer. As you can see, it's over 8 foot to the outside of wheel, outside of wheel. But made very, I guess you could say cheaply, but made just to do what it's made to do. It's not made for other heavy work. So a fella took this to, I think it was Lowe's, one of the home improvement stores, took the rack off and had him set a pallet or something here. And as you can see, we're bent. So we're bent up here, and that would mean that somewhere there the tongue is also twisted up. I don't think it's as much the tongue on this side as the other side. See if we can get around and show you that. Okay, so this side still had its rail on it, so that might have been what protected it from bending here. So it's got a little bit, not much of a bend in it. You can see a little right here where you can see the discoloration. So anytime you get a stretch or a shrinkage, it pops the paint. You can see the little, hopefully you can see them little veins in there. So we know it's been up a little bit right here, but our main spot is right here. You can see the rust. So the front of the trailer on while it's sitting on my bed is, we'll have to get a measuring tape, but it looks like about 16 inches over there and about 10 inches over here. So the whole trailer is bent down in the front, and we are going to have to chain this thing down, and then we'll put a bottle jack under it, and we're going to try to straighten it back out. Now, we're not going to do any reinforcing or anything on it, which it probably needs it, but we are just going to go ahead and get it where it needs to be. And I think they're going to be a little more careful with what they haul on it. But as you can see, when the factory cut this thing and bent it, they didn't even weld this fully up. This angle, well, there you go, you can see a good shot of the bend in it. This angle here comes back and it actually stops, and the angle on top of it takes over and the spring's mounted to it. So this is just not a, it's not a heavy built trailer whatsoever. It wasn't built for hauling any kind of a load at all. Like I said, just more for size. Four-wheelers are light, they don't weigh much. So anyway, and they displaced the weight, you know, 4 and 4 tires instead of, you know, one little small area. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to chain it down and I'll show you as I go. Bottom of the trailer also has some bowing in it, but there's really nothing we can do about that, if you can see that. But I think that's been there. The axle's even got some bowing in it. But the center of the trailer being bowed down like that, it's the way that it's made. Even if I jack that up, it's going to be right back down. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you can see it there. So just a really cheap made trailer. I don't think, as cheap as it's made, it shouldn't have been this big. That's their problem. I mean, trying to span too far, especially with this angle going across. I guess the deck on this thing is 7 foot at least, and they're trying to span it with a piece of 2-inch angle iron, and it's not even quarter. It's just it looks like an 1/8 inch. Yeah, 1/8 inch. So I won't say what trailer company it was. Alright folks, might be a little noisy with the truck running, but I've got to have air, and I'm using the air on the truck. So we're going to first try it right here. I got it chained here. I've got it chained behind the axle here. So hopefully we can get this to start coming out. Worst comes to worst, we can get the torch and put a little heat on it. But hopefully you can see what I'm talking about right here. This is warped out. So we should be able to jack this up until we can maybe hammer that back straight, because it shrunk it, it really didn't stretch it. So, all right. Well, that scared the crap out of me. Popping. Just about straight. Let me get a hammer and relieve that a little bit. Anything can be a hammer. Alright, let's find something straight and see how actual straight it is. Alright, we've got a nice straight board here. Okay, looks like we're up a little bit actually. I don't know if you can see that down toward the end. I'm going to let it down. See how much we lose. We're still off. Maybe an 1/8 inch. About an 1/8 inch gap right here, so we're gonna hit it one more time. See if we can bend past it. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, hopefully you can see this. We're flat up here, and we've got about a 3/4 gap there, so we're gonna let it down and see what it looks like. See if that was enough to bend past it. And pretty daggone straight. I'm no good at holding a camera in one hand and a board in the other, but he's about as straight as we're going to get at that. We're going to go to the other side now and see if we can get the tongue bent. All right, folks, this side came out really good. I'm really happy with this side. If we can get the other side as good as this one, we'll be fine. Now, like I said, as long as he's just hauling forwards and stuff, he's not going to bend it back. But we're using a 20-ton jack there to do it, and the reason I'm not using my 50s because this is air jack. I like that air. As long as I've got a way of having air, that's what we're going to use. So now we got to do this tongue. A little bit different situation here. There's a little bit. I guess I should have brought my board. Let me get my board and we'll see how far this is off. Okay, so we're in the same location on the bed as we was when we done the other side. So if this has got any issues on this rail, which it does, it's not much. Let me get her back on there decent. It's not much, but there is a gap there, 1/8 inch at the max. So I think we're going to go ahead and jack this out here because I'm going to have to roll it down because I'm going to have to grab it probably right here and in front of the tongue. So I'm going to swing it around so I can get my holes in front of there. Okay, a lot of you may remember the boom defense barrel that I had picked up that we had a fun time figuring out. You know, it turned out to be a buoy. It's not really a barrel. So I was contacted by a museum through the video out of Oklahoma where the USS Batfish is at, and they're interested in, you know, being able to have one of these to put on display. But they had some flooding and had some issues, so right now they're trying to recoup from all of that. I had intentions before to possibly do some work on the other barrel or the other buoy and, you know, see if I could send it to them. You know, there's a lot of people that's heading out that way for SV Seeker, that's where they're building the boat out there, and he's going to be there till August of this year, and so I could probably get it a trip out there where it wouldn't cost anything. And they don't have one in their museum, and it would look good. You know, it'd be a good piece for their museum to explain how this stuff worked. And since I was able to find another one, I got a call from a buddy of mine the other day that said, hey man, I know where's another one of them buoys at. And he explained, he didn't know the road name or anything like that, so he explained it to me. So I started looking on Google and walking with my fingers up and down the roads of Google, and I finally found where this thing was at. And it's been, of course, changed into, you can see that fitting on it, someone's changed it into using it as a drum for oil or something, but they didn't cut the loops off. Both loops are still on it, which is really nice. So mine, the other one I've got's got one loop cut off. So anyway, I was able to contact the guy. Scott, actually, it was closer to him than me, and he was out the next day, and he ran by and asked the guy about it. The guy put a price on it. So me and my wife, my son, decided to take a drive, and we just went by there and picked it up and brought it home. So was able to get the second one. Now this guy, he didn't know what it was either. And it's nice to be able to put a story with something. And it's for anybody that don't know, so I can go ahead and update everybody, that because that was an older video. So anybody that don't know, okay, this boom defense barrel is a float or buoy for floating a submarine net, submarine slash torpedo net. And this all happened really fast after Pearl Harbor. The U.S. government decided that they needed some protection of the ports, so they had come up with this. And this stuff was all classified, top secret. And I don't know what year. It looks like I'm thinking about 1973 is what I'm getting from the date, but that's the year that they actually declassified the book on this. It's 102 pages, I think, of nothing but about this boom and net defense. Now, don't know who it was, but somebody on the internet there, one of my subscribers, actually put me onto it being a boom defense barrel or buoy. I keep calling it a barrel, but a buoy, and I had no clue, and most people didn't. I mean, we could see that with it being a compound curve out, that it wasn't made as a barrel. There's way too much involved in it. But what happened is they used these to float a big net, and we're talking about a cable net with like 14-inch to 20-inch round cable rings in it, and they used 4,000 to 6,000 pound weights at the bottom to secure it, and then a submarine or a torpedo couldn't come through it, and this is what floated the net. So they would have had a row of these, and they pretty much decommissioned this particular kind just about as quick as they put them out. I guess they probably needed a lot of them, so they built a lot of them, but then they needed to have one that was a little bit held up a little better. So the spherical, the full round ones, actually held up better than these barrel type. They actually called them barrel type buoys, but so I guess it's not bad to call it a barrel. But in the actual military manual, that's what they call them, was barrel type, and then spherical type. So they replaced these about as quick as they could. So these was made probably in a big lot at the beginning of World War II, or around that time, and then they phased them out pretty quick. So to find one, you're lucky. The only reason that these was able or even left around is because people was repurposing these into something to use, for holding fuel oil or gasoline or whatever, water, whatever. So you can't complain the fact that they altered it. We can fix that. That's not a big deal, but I'm glad they did, because if they hadn't altered it and made it to where they could make it useful for themselves, then we would probably not have still have them. So this one's in better shape than the other one. So we'll see what happens. We're going to wait around on the museum to get their stuff all back together, and been keeping, sort of keeping track of it and keeping an idea of what they've been doing. I guess that's the outlet. They probably had fuel oil. There's a tube. And then this would have been the inlet, and then they had this to vent it. So, I don't know. Let me see if I can smell it. Maybe I can tell what was in it. Oh, absolutely. Fuel oil, diesel fuel. Yeah, somebody was probably using this for their furnace. For fuel oil, either in their shop or even in their house. 300 gallon, 500 pounds is what it weighs. They got the measurements of them online. Tells you everything about them. So Anyway, let's get back to the trailer. I don't know if you can see it, but it sure don't look good. This front corner is low. Guess I probably need to get the tape measure out, don't I? Because, you know, we want to make sure it's straight when we're done. Okay, folks, what we've got here, I've moved it to where I can chain back there and, or somewhere back here. And I chained the tongue. I couldn't get it over far enough and still get the jack on it to put it where I really wanted it. I could fire up the tractor and slide the back of the trailer over, but we're going to try it like this. Got the chain on it, but I've used a safety chain to keep it from sliding over on my chain because it's going to try to slide towards center. So this should be enough to hold it down and to keep it from sliding over. We've got it hooked on the other side. So let me get this back down and we'll get the jack in there and see what it looks like. It's going to be hard to get. And we're just going to get it to where it's straight because with the way I got it now, I can't really get a good measurement on height. So if we get it to where this, okay, as you can see, it's straight up here and just under, well, a 1.5 foot span there, it's 1.5 inches off. So that tells you how bent it is right here. So if we can get this to where it's straight, I think we can, it'll come out just fine. And we'll get it just as straight as an arrow if we can. That's the whole point. If you're already hooked up and you're doing it, you need to go on and do it and get it right. So let's see what we can do. Coming back on it. Keeps coming back on us and keeps showing about 1/8 of an inch. Closer, but still no cigar. Alright, I think we're good to go now. Let's pull it around, put it back on the rollback, sitting on the tires and the tongue, and we'll see how straight it looks. I think that's a little better idea than trying to put it on, even putting it on the ground around here. We'll see. All right, folks, it's actually come out perfect. Last time I measured it, it was 10 on that side and 15 on this side, and now it's exactly 12.5 on each side. So we're straight as an arrow. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but we're good to go. So this job's done, and I'll show you what I've done this job for. Okay, folks, I guess different people have different opinions about what's scrap and what's not scrap. So we've got a really nice, let me get out of the sun there. Well, it ain't gonna help. Got a really nice tool room that come out of a building on Fort Bragg. We got a bunch of 2x2 square tubing, long pieces, and some smaller pieces. A big roll around frame down there that's made out of 2x4 square tubing. Here's some angle iron, some really nice 1/4 inch flat stock, 2" by 1/4. That piece is about 10 foot long. More square tubing, some kind of an orange boom there that's really heavy built. I'm not quite sure what it was for. Like I said, got plenty of that racking. These are 10 foot tall and 5 foot wide, so I'm not sure. It was, you know, a good sized tool room, and you know, something they could keep locked up. And then okay, these are, I guess, door track. That's what them are. Another piece of flat bar. That's 3/8 by 1.5 inch flat bar, and that's a little over 6 foot long. So, like I said, scrap to some people is not scrap to everyone. There's 2 sheets of 4x8 sheets of galvanized, thin, and a piece of angle iron. So all that came as payment to fix that trailer. He said I could have all the scrap on it if I fixed it. So I don't know. There's a aftermarket converter that'll bring $20 from the converter guy, and some buckets and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd call that scrap or not, but I guess some people do. All right, folks. Appreciate everybody watching. And like I said, I wasn't going to make a video on this. Kind of boring, but you know, it is what it is. It's what I'm doing. So try to do a little bit more filming of what I'm doing. And if you don't like it, just don't watch it. That's pretty much that easy. You know, we definitely still got choices in life. All right. Bye.